Coach Stallings, I hope you've had a great week, sir. Welcome into the game here in T-Town.
All right, and we've had storms all this area, and I'm sure you'll be getting them tomorrow. We had lots of rain and thunder and lightning, and no tornadoes that I know of, but lots of rain.
Well, and Coach, as you always give us the weather forecast, what it is, because tomorrow we're all on this threat of severe weather, and the different fronts are going to be coming in. Like you say, what's in Paris, Texas today will be in Tuscaloosa tomorrow.
That's absolutely right, and I hope you escape the bad weather, and hope you're having a good day.
Yes, sir. And, I want to go back, and we had a reporter on earlier that is still covering the SEC, and he was covering you as well. And we got in a big conversation about Freddie Kitchens. I don't know if you see what he's doing up in Cleveland, but they've added some players, get some big-time wide receivers, Odell Beckham going to Cleveland. But you could not be happier for Freddie Kitchens able to get some momentum there in Cleveland, which is a franchise that hasn't had a lot of momentum, but Freddie Kitchens looks like he's grabbing it up in Cleveland.
And I think at the end of the year, they've won maybe 7, 8 games, and he's got a good quarterback, and now he's got this outstanding receiver from the Giants, and he's got some good linemen. I think they're going to be an improved football team. In fact, he spoke at the Alabama High School football clinic last week, I think. And I didn't hear him, but I bet he did an outstanding job.
Yeah, what was it about him that you saw? Because, one of the reporters was talking about his leadership characteristics, and certainly you spotted it early on when you talk about Freddie Kitchens.
Well, he just earned the job, and as far as having a great passing arm, he did not. He was not a finesse player at all. He was strictly a leadership and a tough guy, and when he'd step in the huddle, he had the players' attention. And I remember the last game that we played against Auburn, and we had 80 yards to go and no timeouts, and Freddie was the quarterback, and he took us the length of the field and scored a touchdown. And so I'll always be a big fan of Freddie Kitchens. What you see is what you get, and I think his team will be an improved football team this year.
Yeah, and one of the reporters said when you look back at what you were, that coaching staff, when you go back to 1996, 1997, he said, you look at the quality of coaches that Coach Stallings had on his roster is pretty amazing, Coach. You had a pretty good coaching tree in that room, your final staff here in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I did, and I really had a good coaching staff in the pros too. When I joined the Cardinal organization, you could not hire anybody off of a president's staff. There was a certain date that you couldn't. So everybody that I hired had either been fired or they didn't have a job or they were a college coach or what. So that was a real challenge. And I put together what I felt like was an outstanding coaching staff, and Mal Moore was one of them. He coached the wide receivers, tight ends, and receivers for me, and I've always been blessed with a good coaching staff.
Yeah, certainly when you spend some time, looking at the coaching staff and you think about it. And Coach, when you were hiring assistant coaches, what did you look for? What was the characteristics that you wanted to be a part of your coaching staff?
First of all, I looked for a good person. Didn't want to sit around that table day after day with somebody that I didn't feel like was a good person. Secondly, I wanted somebody that was knowledgeable of the game. Didn't have to be a expert in every phase of the game, but he had to be an expert in some phase of the game. I looked for somebody that could communicate with the player, and then I want somebody with a work ethic. And if you had those 4 characteristics, you could work for me.
We're talking here with Coach Stallings, and Coach, we're dynamic on phone calls. They're already backed up. Let's go to the phone calls.
I'm ready.
All right, and it looks like this guy's feeling a little bit better. Let's go to Red. Red, good afternoon. You're on with Coach Stallings.
Well, good evening, Papa. I hope you're doing well and that Miss Ruth Ann is doing better.
Listen, she's had pneumonia, but she's going to get to go to church tonight, so she's feeling better. And thanks for asking. Hope you're feeling better, Red.
Doing a lot there, Papa. Thanks to the good Lord and all the prayers. I appreciate it.
Well, you've had a lot of them go up on your behalf, I'm sure.
But I have, and Papa, believe me, there's a lot being prayed for you and Miss Ruth Ann also.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. I really do.
Papa, I love to hear you tell the stories of the past, and I was wondering if you'd share a story with us that involves you and Coach Bryant that just brings a smile across your face every time you think about it.
Well, when I think of Coach Bryant, I really think of him in three different lights. First of all, as a player, when I was playing for Coach Bryant, he was a no-nonsense guy. He demanded the very best. He wanted somebody that was tough. You didn't have to be all that good, but he wanted you to want to be good. Then I think of him as when I worked for him as a coach, and what a joy it was to sit around and hear him talk about football. He knew all phases of the game, offense, defense. But the main thing that made him successful, in my opinion, everybody wanted to please Coach Bryant. Players wanted to please him. Coaches wanted to please him. Alumni wanted to please him. Presidents wanted to please him. Board of Regents wanted to please him. Everybody wanted to please Coach Bryant, with the exception of whoever he was playing. They didn't want to please him, but he had a lot of people on his side. So what a joy it was to work for him.
And Papa, to this day, do you catch yourself at times saying, "I'd like to be able to ask Coach Bryant this"?
Now say that again. I didn't understand the question.
At times today, do you catch yourself thinking, "I'd like to ask Coach Bryant about this problem I'm dealing with"?
You know, one thing that it is a little disappointing for me is, as much as I played for him and coached for him, I do not have one thing that he has signed. Now, I wrote his book, Building a Championship Football Team. I wrote that book from scratch. I wrote everything except Cletus Atkinson, who was a writer for the Birmingham paper, wrote an article, "What is Football?" And I had nothing to do with that article. I did get permission to print it. It was an outstanding article. But the rest of the football, it was a coaching football. If you were a high school coach, you would want his book, and it's about all phases of the game. So I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I just wished I'd have had something signed from him.
I understand that, but look on the bright side, Papa. At least you got the memories, and nobody can take that away.
Oh yeah, that's and when you get a little older, those memories become more precious too. I'll assure you.
Yes, sir, and that's why I try to do my best to bring them up so we can still talk about them. And I love you, Jeff, buddy, and tell Miss Ruth Ann we said hello and praying for you. Y'all have a blessed day, sir.
I'm glad you're feeling better too, Red. Thank you.
Thank you, Red. And you know, Coach Stallings, when you begin to look at, Coach Bryant, and, even to this day, almost 40 years since Coach Bryant, not quite 40 years, but 37, 38, something like that since he passed, the stories still ring true. He was ahead of his time. And, something you said last week that reminded me when you talk about the College Football Association, he was trying to create something that was opposite from the NCAA. Am I not right about that? I mean, he wanted it. He saw it coming with the NCAA, did he not?
Yeah, he wanted, somebody that would have 3 scholarships at the same boat as, say, Alabama. And he wanted to form a major conference of all big-time schools that they had the same problems. And, they never did get it across because there are a whole lot more smaller colleges than there are large colleges. But he wanted to do it, and I feel like if it had gotten that done, it would have been an improvement for college football.
205-342-9904. We have one line available if you want to jump on with Coach Stallings. Let's continue. JK, you're next up. You're in the game.
Coach, give me the good news on this Wednesday.
Oh, JK, I've had good therapy, and I feel pretty good, and we had a really stormy weather. In fact, I got up around 3 o'clock. I had to go to therapy at 7, but I listened to the weather radio and watched the weather from about 3:30 to 6, and thinking we was going to have some storms in this area. We did, but as far as I know, no tornadoes, but quite a bit of rain.
Has it passed over you now, Coach? Is it gone?
Oh, it's passed through, and it's sun shining, and I think the we're supposed to have good weather the rest of the week, and we certainly need some.
Yeah, need to dry out a bit. Coach, back when you were first starting your college career as a player, what were the shoes and the helmets like in the 50s when you were playing?
Well, we wore Riddell headgears, and the shoes, very few people wore what we referred to as low-cut shoes. Now, everybody had the shoes that came up past your ankle. But eventually, some of the players got into the low-cut shoes. But the thing that I remember more than anything was the Riddell headgear. Do not remember the name of the the shoes that we wore.
What did they do for cleats? Were they rubber cleats or screw-on cleats, or what did you do for cleats?
They were screw-on cleats, and in bad weather, you could take them off and replace them. But they had little spikes in them, and you would screw the cleats on, and you could, depending on the turf that you were playing on, the condition, you could have long cleats or you could have shorter cleats. Most times I just played whatever I had on.
And nowadays it seems like players take 5 or 6 pairs of shoes into a game, depending on the quarter and the way the wind's blowing and the color of their girlfriend's eyes.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy to have a pair, to tell you the truth.
Coach, when you were coaching here in the 90s, I'm going to focus on equipment today, and that many years ago, how have you seen the technology advance to the present day from the time that you were actively coaching in college to what we're looking at today?
I really didn't have a whole lot to say about the equipment. I had an equipment man who was an expert in that area, Tank Connolly, and he stayed up on what was the best headgear, the best shoulder pads. Those were the 2 things that I was concerned about more than anything, was the headgear and the shoulder pads. And I just tell Tank I want the very best. I didn't care what it cost, but I wanted the very best for my player.
And it seems like these days, Coach, they've got the players on GPS, and they're monitoring their biorhythms and their heart rate and blood pressure so that they don't overheat and they don't get too tired out. So I think the technology is probably advanced beyond what we really need. We may be using too much technology in this game.
I think so, because we're going to get tired. There's no question about that. If you don't get tired during practice, you're not doing much practicing. I'll say that.
Well,
now, I will say this, that you look around and a lot of the guys are wearing shorts a lot of the time during the day, or headgears and maybe shoulder pads, but very few people worked out in full gear the whole week. I don't know, when I was working for the Dallas Cowboys, they wore full gear every practice, all up except maybe the day before the game. So times changed, but Coach Landry, he wanted us to have full gear on every time we walked out on the field.
My last question, Coach, is if you're doing the cooking and Miss Ruth Ann isn't cooking for you, what y'all eating around there? I know you're not eating cereal every meal.
I'm eating a lot of cereal and a lot of stuff that people would bring. You know, if anybody's sick in Paris, Ruth Ann's going to bring them something to eat. So people have been reciprocating and bringing her different things, and also my daughters have been here a time or two, and they see that we have something to eat. So we have eaten pretty good, to tell you the truth.
Well, Coach, I'm going to close with this statement: what comes around goes around. So you've been such a blessing to your community there in Texas that I'm sure those blessings are coming back to you now. And I'm going to close with saying, God bless you, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it, and always good to talk to you, my friend.
Always good to see you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Rise party this year.
Oh, good. I'll be there to chip in for the Rise. I won't be there for the tournament, but I will be there for the chip in for Rise. That's the night before the tournament starts.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, J.K. Let's continue here. 205-342-9904. Dewey, you're on with Coach Stallings, Dewey.
Hey, Coach, how are you today, sir?
I'm fine. It's a rough start weather-wise, but it's cleared off and gotten a little cool, and it's absolutely gorgeous weather right now.
Yes, sir. Coach, I might have missed it because y'all may have touched on this earlier, but I was just wondering what your take was on this big indictment that came down with the FBI about people paying to get their children, either their test scores changed or their children admitted into a college as an athlete when they're not even an athlete.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that. And on top of that, if I were just an old average student and I've done the best I could, and somebody got into college illegally, I'd be hot about it, to tell you the truth. I hate to see the FBI get involved in that, but if you're taking bribes to get your child in school, there's no place in that for the students, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think you're 100% correct, Coach, because there's plenty of kids out there that they work hard all their lives and do everything that they can to get into the college that they try to get into. And then when you have people that have more than enough money to help their child the correct way and to get their test scores better and to get them into a school, and they abuse that, it's really, really sad. Just the state of everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, and then have somebody take the SAT or the ACT test for you. Set in somebody's got to know who you are, and for somebody to take the test for somebody else, so they'll have a higher ranking class, a higher SAT or ACT score. That just really turns me off. I had a couple of granddaughters that were not good students, but they studied hard and they got in Texas A&M, but they had, in order to get in A&M, they had to go to summer school and prove that they were equal and they were qualities to go to college. So they have various ways to help a student that's not, of course, the A and the B student. As we speak, I serve on the Easterwood Foundation that awards scholarships to Texas A&M. Mr. Easterwood left some money, and he wanted them to be in the cadet corps was the first thing. Then he wanted them to study aeronautical engineering. Well, not a lot of people want aeronautical engineering, but in order to receive the Easterwood Foundation scholarship, you have to be in the cadet corps. And to read what all these youngsters have accomplished in their short career, it's outstanding reading, and I thoroughly enjoy being on this committee.
All right, Coach. Well, know that, as always, we love you, Miss Fruit Fan, and y'all just take care of yourselves. You hear?
I'll do that. Thanks for calling.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pee Wee down in Grand Bay. Pee Wee down in Grand Bay. Let's go to Ellis. Ellis, you're on with Coach Stallings.
How's it going, Coach Stallings?
Ellis, I'm doing fine. How's everything in Tennessee?
Sun's shining right now. We've had an awful lot of rain. About had to bring our kayaks out. It got so much rain up here.
Chances are you're going to get some more, too.
Yes, sir. It's all. I can already feel it. The wind's picked up. It's been changing. Weather's been changing all day long today, so I had a feeling. Then I heard you talk about that y'all have had weather, so we'll be getting it.
Yeah, about 24 hours after it comes here, it comes to Alabama and up into Tennessee, so I hope you don't have any bad weather.
I hope I don't either. I was going to ask you, did you get to plant your onions?
I did. I got them in, and I planted about 3,000 onion slips, and I've got them in right before the rain. In fact, I went out earlier this afternoon, checked, make sure they're doing okay, and I think I'm going to have a good onion crop.
Coach, how big is your garden? I'm sorry, Ellis. I didn't mean to jump in. I was just thinking 3,000 onions. Yeah, that's what I said. How big is your garden, Coach?
Well, I've got a pretty good sized garden, but you can plant in just it's sort of like a domino. You have a double 5 domino. You take the single 5, and that's sort of the way I plant the onions. Okay. So I can get a lot of onions in a short area. But I've got 2 rows, and I'd say they're probably, 60 yards long.
Okay.
Oh, man.
That's a big garden. That's a big garden.
A lot of good onions.
Yeah, I really enjoy the onions and tomatoes, and I have other things. I enjoy the corn that comes out of it, but If I could just have two things, it'd be onions and tomatoes.
Tomatoes. I was fixing to say you got, and that'll be here soon. You'll start planting them on it.
Yeah, and I'll plant about 50 tomato plants, so I have plenty of tomatoes.
And you'll just eat them like an apple, right?
Right. And I pick them every day, and you can't believe how the okra grows. Lord, you can plant it in the morning now. I mean, cut it in the morning. This afternoon, they're outgrowing again. So I plant quite a few okra plants.
Ooh, I love okra. Now, I can eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between.
Y'all are making me hungry for a guy that's been on the radio for 4 hours. I haven't even thought about supper, and you guys are talking about food here.
It won't be long before they'll be growing.
Oh yeah, it'll be coming up. I had some sweet corn in the deep freeze, and I got it out fixing it for supper tonight. So
well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You can put it in the microwave and leave it in the shucks, and get it out and then take that shucks off of it, and it's awfully good.
Oh yes, sir. But I know there's probably more people want to call in. I just had to ask you that, and I heard that Miss Ruth Ann is doing good. You said she's going to church tonight, so
yeah, that was a carrot that the doctor gave her. Said if you do right and stay in and so forth, you can go to church tonight. So she's looking forward to that.
Good deal.
Thank you,
well,
Ellis.
it's good that she is looking forward for that. But we'll talk to you next week, Coach.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Hey, Coach.
All right, love you.
Coach John did not want to go on the air, but he wanted me to ask about your daughter down in Haiti. How is she doing? Can you give us an update?
She's doing fine. They can't fly into the country. They have a lot of unrest, and as we speak, she's been in the United States for about a week or so. She's had some engagements and gave her an opportunity to check on her mother a time or two, but I think they're going back to Haiti tomorrow. And but she's doing well, and they're doing an outstanding work in that part of the world.
Now, do they live when they're not in Haiti, back in Texas? Do they have a place there?
No, they'll stay at different places, either with their sister or in-laws, or they get a hotel room. They live in Haiti. They sold what they have, and that's home for them. That's where they live. They got some children that live in the States, but they live in Haiti.
And the organization is livebeyond.org, livebeyond.org. And let me also, Coach, I got an email from the University of Alabama, and they asked me when I have you on to make sure that I mention this, and I know J.K. brought it up, but the Tournament of Champions 2019 is going to be held April the 25th and 26th, 2019. They're looking for sponsors. If you want to be a part of the Rise Tournament of Champions, Coach Stallings talked about the Chip-In Rise. You can get a lot of the information, whether you're talking about being a sponsor, if you want to register a team, if you want to get your team ready for the Tournament of Champions 2019, going to be held at the North River Yacht Club April the 25th and 26th. As Coach Stallings mentioned, the Chip-In for Rise, which is a reception, silent auction in conjunction with that. North River Yacht Club on the evening of April the 25th. Tickets available for that event as well. It's all available at riseschool.ua.edu, and I know that's very close to your heart, Coach.
And it's an outstanding tournament, and it really all the money goes to the children and the school, and it's an outstanding facility. And so I would highly recommend to everybody that could possibly play in it. If they can't play in it, make a contribution. If they can't do that, come to the Chip-In and bid on something, and anyway, the money all goes to the Rise Program.
riseschool.ua.edu, where you can find a ton of information. We'll try to talk about that every couple of weeks. Coach, I appreciate you for being a part of the show. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, sir.
Listen, thank you, and thank you for talking about the Rise Program, too, because that's a big deal.